Kit Kats can read. Hey guys, it's Katie and welcome to my September TBR video. In today's video I'm going to be sharing with you some books that I would like to get around to reading in September. It's kind of really ambitious for me, but I like to have a vast selection. My Pikachu hat just fell off. I've got some review books that I would like to get round to reading to, as well as books of my own that I would like to get reading, as well as books that go towards my TBR jar challenge. The trouble with my TBR jar challenge is I have yet to complete a book challenge, and I'm changing the books throughout every month to go towards these topics for my TBR jar challenge, just so that I can get them read before December. Otherwise, my TBR for December is just literally going to be this TBR jar challenge book list. So first of all, let's get started. I am first of all going to share with you the review books that I would like to get round to reading. The first of which is only a sampler, but I'm really excited about it. This is Language of Thorns, and this is by Leigh Bardugo. The publisher very kindly sent this to me, and it just looks absolutely beautiful. Like I say, it's a short and quick read, but I'm very excited to get this read. Another little sampler that I would like to read is Tangleweed and Brine by Deirdre Sullivan. Again, this was sent from the publisher, so I would like to give this a little read. It's really quick, and so it won't take me long whatsoever. Another review book that I would like to get around to reading is The Treatment, and this one is like a sort of YA thriller sort of book, and I'm really excited to get around to reading this one. I then also have Wonder Woman Warbringer by Leigh Bardugo as well, and I'm really excited about this one, so thank you to the publisher for sending this to me. And then I've got The Fandom by Anna Day. This doesn't come out until next year, but I would like to be ahead with my review books, so I'm really excited to get around to reading this one. And then finally, out of my physical books, I've got A Shiver of Snow and Sky by the lovely Lisa, and I just am so excited about this. So excited. In the blogger brunch I was like, oh my god, I need this book in my life. When I had proofs, I pounced on them, and I was like, I need it. Now I have it. I'm definitely going to be reading it pretty damn soon, and I'm so excited. So those are my physical review books. I do have some sort of like e-arcs as well, like from Ada Vise and NetGalley, that I would like to get around to reading as well, but I will like intermingle those. But if you follow me on Goodreads, you'll be able to see what I'm currently up to, and again on Twitter as well. So follow my social media links, they're all down below in the description box, and that way you can keep up to date with the exact books, because my TBR is always subject to change. Next of all, I'm going to go on to the books that I have put towards the challenges. Now I do have a new challenge for this month as well, and I will get round to that. So the first challenge is to read an old review book, and so this one I chose Out of Fire by Sarah J Maas. This is a third book that is in the Throne of Glass series. Once upon a time this was actually a review book that was sent to me. Yes, they sent a finished copy, and so I'm really slow and like reluctant to sort of get around to reading this, but I am I've started reading it. I'm actually really enjoying it, and I got the audiobook of this as well, so I feel like I'm going to be listening to it as well as reading this. My next TBR jar challenge is to read an adult book. I've kept this one exactly the same purely because I've started reading this and I haven't forgotten what's happening, and this is 50 Shades Darker by E.L. James, the second book that is in the 50 Shades of Grey trilogy. And yes, I am super looking forward to actually getting around to reading more of this. It's been on my TBR for several months now, and I need to get it right. The next challenge was to pick and read a book from my TBR jar, so I pulled one out, and out came Afterwells by Scott Westerfeld. This is a beast of a book, so I'm not sure how I feel about picking this one out, but it's been on my TBR for over a year now, so it needs to get read. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this one, because I remember when it was out, it was getting a lot of hype. So now that the hype's died down, maybe this is a good time to give this a read. My next challenge was to use random.org to pick a book from the list. So I placed a little picture over here because this was the number that came up. It was 114, and so it's very early on in my list. And what came was a book in a series, and this is pretty good. It's from a childhood series actually, and so this is called The Missing series. It's by Meg Cabot. It's quite old now. It's probably like older than Harry Potter, maybe. I'm not entirely sure actually, but I've read the first book, When Lightning Strikes, so I pulled out like the third book, so I'm going to be reading the second book that's in the series, which is Codename Cassandra. It's a fairly short book, and I really enjoyed the first book, and I think there's like a TV show that's like based upon this as well, but like with adults, and it's basically about this girl who just sort of, one day she's struck by lightning, and then all of a sudden she can see and find missing people, especially like kids that are on, you know, like those milk cartons sort of thing. And so yeah, so she uses her abilities for that. And yeah, so I'm really excited to get around to reading this again. I'm really glad that this came out. The last challenge that came out of my TBR jar, which is for this month, and I got read a Jennifer R. Armentrout book because it is my aim in life to read all of her books. And so the book that I really wanted to read, took me a while to sort of like find it, because for some reason I literally just could not find it. So I managed to find it. It was downstairs in the study. Literally my books are everywhere. There's some in my garage, there's some in my book cupboard, there's some just on the bookshelf over here, there's some downstairs, there's loads that are in boxes. So I tried to take pictures to find the books, but for some reason this one I couldn't find because it's sort of that colour that mingles in with the bookshelf colour. So I got Scorched by Jennifer R. Armentrout, and this is what the cover looks like. So you see exactly what I mean by it sort of like merged into the colour of the bookshelf, because the bookshelf downstairs is like this colour. And I went downstairs and I was like, there it is, unless some sort of gremlins like hid the book and then like put it out again just to see like how annoyed I would get. But yeah, I'm intrigued to read this. Again, I've had this book for over a year and I want to catch up and read all of her books because she is one of my ultimate favourite authors. Those are all of my TBR jar challenge books, and now I'm going to move on to some books that I would like to go around to reading. But the first couple of books, one is a buddy read. Still didn't get around to reading that in August. This is Where Silence Gathers by Kelsey Sutton, which is the companion sequel to Some Quiet Place, which I did read a few TBR months ago, and I buddy read that along with Keisha from The Forsaken 707. I believe she still hasn't read this either. I want to get around to reading it, I really do. I just keep getting pushed back just with review books and stuff, and books that I really want to read more. I don't want to put myself in a slump, so that's purely why I haven't actually read this book yet, but I'm still looking forward to giving it a read. And there is a book that is from my 17 books to read in 2017. Didn't get around to reading it last month, so I've pushed it forward to this month, and that is Just One Day by Gail Foreman. And yeah, that's just purely why this is on my TBR. But last but not least, these are the books I actually really want to get around to reading. I've looked at them and I'm like, yes, I want them on my TBR this month. So the first of which is The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. Now there's a TV show that is based upon this, and it seems really intriguing. So I picked up the book and I was like, I'm gonna read this. The next book is Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. This has just been getting a load of buzz lately, and it just sounds absolutely fantastic and interesting, and that is why I put it on my TBR this month. Again, another really hyped book that has been getting a load of buzz is When Dimple Met Rishi by Sandhya Menon, and yes, I would very much like to get around to reading this book this month. I'm really excited about this. And the last book that I have put on my TBR for this month is still that companion sort of book with all those various stories in from authors and booktubers, and that is Because You Love to Hate Me by Anne-Marie. And like I say, various authors and booktubers who have put this together. So because these are short stories, I felt like this would be good to put on my TBR for any month really, so I'm just plodding it along and just using it as a guide at the moment. So if there's nothing that I really like want to read, or I don't know what I want to read, then this will be the perfect sort of book. So there you have it, guys. That is my very ambitious TBR for the month of September. Like I say, I would very much like to get at least 5 of these books read, because that is like my minimum. I read 3 last month, nearly 4. I've already read 1 this month, so I just need to read 4 more books this month. But I'm going to be selecting from this pile. I'm being really good lately by sticking to my TBR a lot better than I used to. Used to do TBR videos and then I never actually used to read a lot of the books that were in it. I used to just change it because, you know, your opinions change, but I've been trying to sort of stick some challenge books, some review books, and then some books that I really want to read, so that it just sort of like spurs me on, and I'll mix it up and so on and so forth. But yeah, that's the end of this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. Keep smiling, keep reading, and be happy, and I'll see all of you wonderful, awesome people in my next video. Bye! So without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to share with you the So let's get started. First of all, I'm going to share with you the review books that I would like